plant, they'll be fine, even when we drop down to freezing or so.
You know what? Everything that he was showing us, all of the vegetables and stuff, you can. So you can make a little garden in those pansies like you just mentioned, Frank. You definitely can put those in. Some of them will even come back from last year if you had them in maybe in the fall. I wanted to show you. Look what they gave me for my birthday. Isn't that beautiful? They walked out and told me happy birthday. They said they couldn't let the day go by. So I thought that was very sweet of them here. Don't you? So I'll tell you what, though, I'm going to sit those down, and I'm going to go back over to Mike Benkens, and we are going to talk about planting a little garden so that you can have vegetables. You can have fresh vegetables. Actually, you said in 50 days.
Well, actually, we're going to do radishes, and the maturity date on a package says 22 days. But so the trick is, though, is you want to go ahead and have your radishes on a regular basis. So we're not going to sow the whole pack. We're just going to sow just a piece of them, and you can probably break this pack down into 5 different sowings. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a roasting pan. Okay. We poke some holes in the bottom of it.
Here you go. I'll let you go ahead and start doing that.
We're going to fill it with soil.
Okay.
Okay. And all you want to do is you fill it with soil. You water it in really well. Nice and level. You would water that in. You just go ahead and you take
I tore the top off that for you. How about that? I was working ahead.
You're working ahead. That's perfect.
See, my grandpa told me this.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to take a small portion of the seed. We're going to split this up probably at least 3 to 4 sowings. And you're just going to sprinkle it really loose along the soil. Okay?
That's it?
Then we don't have to poke a hole. And then you water it in a little bit. You water it in a little bit, and you take just a little bit of the soil that's left over. You sprinkle it over the top. You let it germinate. And as soon as it germinates, you put it outside. And then every week you do that again, and then for as long as your package of seeds lasts, you can have fresh radishes for 4 to 5 weeks.
You just leave them right in that aluminum tray?
Leave them right in the tray. Now, but in the house, you probably want to put a cookie sheet underneath of it so the water doesn't stain anything.
Okay.
But once it's outside, just leave it outside, and Mother Nature takes care of it.
And after you planted this last week.
This is a week old of pepper seed, and you can see how fast it germinates in the house. But as soon as it germinates, as soon as it starts to crack the seed, you want to get your plants outside so they don't stretch and get ugly.
How long can you actually leave them outside? I mean, will the temperatures affect them right now? Like, is there a certain temperature you want to bring them back in?
You don't want to do the anything like peppers or tomatoes right now, but things like all the broccolis and the lettuce and all the cold weather stuff, once you put it outside, you can just leave it out there.
Okay, so the temperature of it's 32.
Temperature won't phase it unless Frank decides to make it down to 15 or something again.
Hopefully he won't upset Mother Nature. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is just all the different bulbs that you have. And I know I have some bulbs, and like a lot of people will get these for Easter. Now, what is the trick? Okay, you get a plant like this for Easter. What do you do with it after it blooms?
Okay, this is a hyacinth, and when you enjoy it in the home, as long as you can, you enjoy the smell. The trick is to make it bloom for next year, you have to let the foliage die back naturally. That means you keep taking care of it, you keep watering it, and when the foliage starts to turn brown and it starts to die back, then you can stop watering it and put it in the ground for next year.
So there isn't a time frame? I mean, just basically after it dies back?
Right now, you couldn't put it outside because it would freeze. So as soon as the weather warms up, you could put it out. So like this year with a late Easter is really late this year. Yeah. So the Easter flowers, odds are you can probably, when you're done using it in the home or the church or wherever you may be, plant it outside and it'll be fine for next year.
Do you need to put bone meal on them?
You don't have, well, if you fertilize it a little bit or anything like bone meal, it'll help build the strength for next year's blooms.
So if I wanted to plant something like this outside,
let's say you forgot to plant your daffodils this spring. If you come to Benkens right now, you could plant this right now, and it'll acclimate immediately, and it'll bloom this spring yet, and it'll be fine for next year also. Because
it's so small. I mean, you'll see a lot of things sprouting up right now that are small.
Your daffodils outside should look exactly like this right now, and this particular pot came out of our coolers, so our refrigerator. So this is exactly what happened inside that we did inside that Mother Nature did outside.
So we could buy this right now, put it in the ground, and by Easter we would have some beautiful flowers.
Well, depending on what kind of weather we have, by Easter we should have some beautiful flowers.
Well, like I said, as long as he doesn't upset Mother Nature. But you can do that with the variety of what you had. You were talking about the daffodils.
You can do it with tulips. You can do it with hyacinths. You can do it with daffodils. Anything that Mother Nature or you have out there for fall, you can do right now this spring. We have a whole cart full of things ready right now.
You have it all ready for us, don't you?
Nobody remembers when they're supposed to do it.
Well, when do you normally plant bulbs? I always planted mine in the fall.
Well, everybody usually plants their bulbs in the fall. Anytime usually from Labor Day to New Year's, you can plant bulbs and they'll be fine for the spring.
But if you want to plant some and actually have some ready for Easter, you could do that. So we've had some gardening tips. And again, Frank was asking me about the different vegetables. And again, do we need to cover those up if it gets to a certain temperature?
most of your cool weather vegetables will be fine. Unless all of a sudden it's like we're talking teens again, we should be fine. Because usually the ground's starting to warm up now, so the ground will keep it pretty much warm because everything's planted in the ground.
Okay. Well, there's some tips for you on planting your bulbs, and if you wanted to get some started, I know I have a whole bunch I need to actually get in, so that worked great for me. But we're going to have some tips on your grass and maybe what you need to do to fertilize your lawn and have a beautiful lawn for the summertime.
Good information there, and there's a lot of brown lawns out